Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey everybody, I'm Genesis.
And I'm Dream.
And we are just a little clueless about roommates. So we're just gonna jump right into it. I know I said last week I'm gonna start being solo, but here I am with a guest. But we have both had some roommate like hardships. So I was like, the perfect person to talk to is Dream. So let's go just in general, like your college experience. How many roommates have you had?
Girl, a lot. So my freshman year, I lived in an apartment. I believe it was like a 4-bedroom, but like one of my roommates ended up not showing. So it was just like two other. And they were fine, but my trauma really started happening when I came to UND.
Okay, of course.
So sophomore year, of course, yes. Sophomore year, my roommate, she was a friend. I knew her, and that was like the only time like I had like a planned roommate. Everyone else was just randoms. Mm-hmm. And I think that you should not room with your friend. I've heard it before, but you definitely should not room with your friend. I think it caused a lot of problems. I feel like because you look at them like a roommate, and not a friend, and you get annoyed with them, just like little stuff they do because you're with them 24/7. Mm-hmm. So I really don't recommend that.
I agree.
Yeah. You've roomed with.
I think all of my roommate situations, they weren't my friends before really, but we became friends during. And I think when it comes to your friendships, because if something goes wrong, not only is your roommate situation ruined, your friendship ruined. So now you have to go through like two big things versus just your roommates, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with that. I feel like it's so hard for me. Like when you're with somebody every day, mm-hmm. like friend-wise, and you live with them in a dorm, especially, is so much worse than living with them in an apartment.
I agree.
Because you don't get a break from them at all. You share a bathroom, a bedroom. You get no space besides like when you go to class or when they're away from like on the weekend. So it's mm-hmm. not enough. So I really don't recommend, rooming with your friends. But my junior year, I moved to Greyhound Village, and I had traumatized.
Yes.
Girl, I had 3 other roommates, and they were good friends. I'm still friends with them now, but they weren't good roommates.
Yeah.
And the stuff, they didn't do anything that would try to harm me, or we never really argued. I never argued with them. It was just stuff that they did. They would have people over on Sundays, and I had class at 8 a.m. just because they were soccer players, and Sundays were their off days, which I, understand, but it's they also have to be considerate of me. Yeah. So I feel like that's where we bumped heads at. Mm-hmm. And then senior year, the year that we both had a rough. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
I mean, if I'm going to start before we get to our seniors, because we're both in our senior year right now, my freshman year, I lived in a dorm with 2 other people, mm-hmm. and the rooms were tiny. And again, I agree, having to live in a dorm is the worst punishment ever. I don't know why that even exists, because having one room to eat, sleep, change, do your makeup, do your hair, and then to share it with 2 other people or even one other person is wild, especially if they have boyfriends or girlfriends. It's terrible.
It's
but
uncomfortable.
I had one. I didn't know them. It was random. I mean, it was different for many reasons. One, they were both white, and that is already a big difference to living with white girls. 2, one of them, we became kind of friends, and she was very protective over me for no reason. Mm-hmm. I think she was just kind of she just wanted to tell me what to do because she wouldn't want me to go out and party. It's not even like I did it crazy or anything. I just wanted to experience mm-hmm. college, and she'd be like, no, I don't want you to do that. I don't trust your friends, and da-da-da. And I was just she had no grounds to be that way towards me. So then we stopped being friends. But mm-hmm. Then my sophomore year, I had a different roommate. Still lived in a dorm, and it was around COVID time, so we really weren't allowed to leave or do anything. And she was I don't know if I would rank her the worst. I mean, her and my other one tied, but she was bad in a way where we became friends pretty quick on, and she wanted to do everything together. She wanted to combine our friends groups, wanted to do we already lived together. Mm-hmm. We already see each other every day. sleep, like wake up, I see your face, go to sleep, I see your face. And she never got tired of me. And she turned out to be crazy, as most do. And she would start hiding our toilet paper and slamming doors and just
crazy.
just passive aggressive to the max. But she wouldn't talk to me about it. She didn't want to talk. And that's the theme of all my bad roommate relationships, is that nobody wants to talk or be the bigger person. And that's how it all ended, because I'm not going to be silent. If something needs to be addressed, it needs to be addressed. And so that's where most of mine went wrong. A lot of them are very like high school mindset. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just going to, if they're not going to say anything, I'm not going to say anything. Just like big heads and just don't want to listen. So
I feel like communication, especially when something bothers you with the roommate, is key, because if you don't communicate it, it just gets worse. And it starts to build up. The anger starts to build up. You start to get annoyed by the littlest things, like them. I don't know. A pet peeve of mine right now is like, I have this rug in my kitchen, and my roommate, she will like just mess it up. And like, it'll be like, and it just bothers me. Or like her like not clearing the time on the microwave. Oh
Mine she always leaves it with the food, like the food done. I'm like, is it so hard to just press in, like end?
No, yes. So I feel like when you don't communicate the issues that you have with the roommate, it just build up problems, and then it's not gonna go well. It's not gonna go well at all.
Yeah, I think obviously there's times where you don't have a choice, especially when you're underclassmen. You really don't get much of a choice, and the big thing is to communicate and set out boundaries from the start, because if you don't tell your roommate how you feel, like if you're a cleanly person, you like your dishes to be washed or however you like it, and you don't tell them that ahead of time or before you really start living together, then when you bring it up when it's gotten too far, they've already gotten used to being able to do that. And then it kind of is like this this conflict that just popped out of nowhere, because they're probably like, well, why are you upset with this all of a sudden? So definitely communicate that before you move in, like reach out to them.
Yes, I actually just went through that with my roommate this year, first semester. As you know, I got a new one now. But I remember we had just moved in, and it was like we hadn't lived together for like maybe 4 days now. And she had trash by our door for days. And I was like, okay, maybe she'll take it out. And I didn't say anything to her like the first like 2 days. And then the weekend came and the trash was still there. So I text her and I'm like, hey, like, can you take out the trash? Because I wanted to say something early on so she didn't make it a habit. And she got a little feisty, because I guess she took it the wrong way. And I was so, like, I said it so polite. I don't know if I sent it to you and, like, asked you if you thought it was, like, rude, because, I do that a lot. Sometimes I feel like I can maybe come off a little confrontational, which I try my best not to. But, I definitely recommend saying something early on, because they will make it a habit. And although I did say something early on, she did not change it. She left her trash there for long periods of time. It would smell up our apartment. She traumatized me the most out of all my roommates. I'm not gonna lie, that girl traumatized me so bad. I did not feel safe. I had an incident with her and her boyfriend, or whatever he was, which I know you could probably elaborate on that too.
We both of our roommates, like this semester we both have new roommates, and last semester we had roommates that are very similar, because mine had to do with her boyfriend, and I had never lived with anybody prior who had a boyfriend, and it's a whole different thing. I mean, definitely set boundaries if they have a significant other, because they will let that run as far as you let it go. Like, and with mine, he lived there. Like, it was like, there was nothing, like, no visiting, no, he lived there. And she told me, and I should have done something, but I didn't think she meant that he was actually going to live there. She told me, she was like, yeah, he's going to be around a lot. And then when we had met, when she finally moved in, we had all, like, went out on a Saturday or something, and she was like, yeah, he's just going to move in here. Like, he hasn't even moved into his dorm yet. And I was like, okay. I was like, I mean, in that moment, I didn't do anything. And then it just... clearly they just let it get too far. I mean, honestly, if he would have been in her room most of the time, I probably wouldn't have even known the difference. But I came in one day, I was shook to my core, TBH. Like, I came in, this man was out there cooking, watching something on his phone to 100. And I don't know if it's just me, but when I hear sound coming from a phone, like, that has no bass, it sounds terrible, one. And then her bedroom door was open. She was in the shower with her bedroom door open and her bathroom door open. You could hear her singing. You could hear the music, and you could hear the shower running. And then he was out there cooking. And I come in, and I'm just like, hold up. And he just looks at me normal. He just turns around, and he turns back around and keeps cooking.
He's too comfortable.
Yeah, and, I mean, it was, to me, mine was, I mean, I know ours was kind of different, but there would be little things like that where obviously he's thinking he lives here, but he was also creepy. I remember I would go out sometimes. I only went out with her twice, but when I'm like out there in my skirt and like whatever, I've caught him looking at me. I mean, and my boyfriend's been around and he's caught him like looking at me up and down. I remember one time they were both in the kitchen and I was coming in with my boyfriend to put my groceries away. We had just got back from the grocery store and I was putting something in the cabinet and there's one underneath and he comes right by my butt and like grabs something from under there. Didn't say excuse me, didn't wait until I moved, but like he was very close and I felt it. I was like, damn, he could have felt really close to me. But my boyfriend saw, he was like, yes, he was like dang near right by your butt. And it's just little things like that. And not to air their relationship out, but I will because I don't care about them. He was a cheater. He cheated. Like, I heard them talk about how he cheated on her multiple times. And so the fact that he was looking me up and down.
And he's not cute, y'all. He is not cute. He's scary. Like,
yes.
he's the type of person, if you see him in your dreams, you're going to be traumatized.
No. Yeah, that makes it even worse. Not saying creepy people can't be attractive, but if you're creepy and ugly, that messes my mind up because like that makes me so uncomfortable. Not only are you ugly, but you're weird. Like, but yeah, what was your roommate's situation with her man?
Girl, when I had first moved in, I remember the first day we was like, getting to know each other because I didn't meet her before, and she was telling me like about this ex-boyfriend. I was like, okay. And she was just telling me, like, all the stuff he did to her. You know how that go. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm just thinking that they're not in contact anymore because that's what she told me. And she told me that how he was, like, in Jordan and, like, I think his family, like, lives there or something. Yeah. And he was, like, in Jordan for the summer, so she hadn't seen him in, like, a month. But the last time, like, the last interaction they did have, it wasn't good. So basically they wasn't talking, and she had him blocked and everything. And then one day, I just come to our apartment, and I guess he was there, but, like, I didn't see him. Yeah. But the next morning, she was like, oh, yeah, he was here. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I really wasn't friends with her. I was never friends with her, but, like, we wasn't really close to, like, I didn't care. You know, like, you be mad, like, when your friends get back with their ex. Yeah. Like, I didn't care. So I was like, oh, okay. But I had still never seen him. And then one day, I'm in my room and I just hear banging on my door and I'm like, okay. So I look at the peephole and I seen it was him. I knew it was him just because she had shown me a picture of him. So I open up our door and because she had left, she had went to go on a date with another boy. And so he pops up at our apartment because he's psychotic and she was not answering his phone calls. So this man pops up at our door. So I'm like, oh, like she's not here right now. And he's like, okay, well, like, do you know when she's going to be back? And I'm like, no, like she just left not too long ago. So I'm like standing in my doorway, like, not letting him in. Yeah. I'm just like, ready to close it. I'm like, I'm going to mind my business. And this man welcomes himself in. Welcomed himself in our apartment just like, okay, I'm going to wait for her here. And I know he crazy, so I didn't, like, want to say nothing.
Yeah, people be snapping. So I'll be like, okay.
And he was Arab and not the stereotype, but, he, so I was just like, oh, okay. So I go in my room, and I'm on the phone with my friends at this point. We in the group chat talking. And so I'm on the phone with them, and my door, it was, like, cracked a little bit. It was like closed, but it was like still open because he's in, I got stuff out there and I just didn't want him to, not saying he would, but he literally comes in my room because he heard me talking, comes in my room and he's like, oh, is that her? And I'm like, what?
Be so for real.
This man comes into my room. So I'm pissed off. I'm like, what? No. So I slam my door in his face because first of all, I don't do that. Boundaries, first of all.
I don't know you. I don't know you.
And you don't know, like, so I'm, like, texting her, like, bro, like, your man's here. You need to come get him because I don't feel comfortable with him being in my apartment. I tell him that you're not here. Where you at? She's not, like, answering my calls, texting me back or nothing. Yeah. And so she finally calls me and she's like, is he still there? And I'm like, yes, like, where you at? And she's like, oh, I'm on my way. I'm like, okay, do you want me to tell him to leave? And she's like, no, it's fine. She comes back like an hour later and I'm just annoyed at this point. And that was like the end of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, when you're in roommate situations like this and someone has a significant other, it pisses me off because that's not my boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know them like you know them, and that's not fair to me to be like, well, he's fine. He just no, because I don't know him. And it was the same thing with me. She would give him the keys to our apartment. He would be coming in, unlocking the door, staying there when she's not there. She would tell me one time she came out and she was like, hey girl, try to be all nice. Hey, so I'm gonna be studying with my friends tonight, and I'm not gonna be back, but he's gonna be off work, so can he just come in? And I was like, that's where because normally some of the little things that had happened, I would just let it slide. But I was like, I told him then there, I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I was like, my boyfriend never stays. He's never here if I'm not here. He's never staying. Like, that makes no sense. He doesn't live here. And I'm like, again, I don't know him. I just met you like a month ago. So like, what makes you think that's okay for him to stay here?
And you don't know him. You don't know his history. Yeah,
I mean, that's just weird. And they be the ones to get upset about it. I'm like, then live together, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, he was never, I mean, and the way that it all went down, first of all, you moved out of GV, Greyhound Village is on campus, and I do not like the way that their management is at all. I mean, I complained, so it just all, like, it all went south. So I got upset. I got tired of letting him live there for, at this point, it was like a month and a half, because they were using my stuff. Like, I told her straight up when we moved down, I was like, I'm not one to be, like, we buy our own dishes, we buy our this, da-da-da. If you want to use something, you can ask. They were using up all the trash bags, never took out the trash half the time. How are you going to live here, be a man, and not even fucking take out the trash? That's, like, your one job. And then they would use up all my trash bags, didn't tell me or replace it. So I go to replace the bag, and it's gone. And nothing's there, just the box. They left the box there too, the empty box. So I'm like, at this point, I reach out to leasing office. I'm like, he's been living here, making me uncomfortable, because I have nothing to hold back. If you guys are not only going to be breaking the rules, but disrespecting me, why would I be nice to you? And the lady at the leasing house had worked with my roommate at the time. And so she was biased, and I told her that too. And she was still ahead of this whole little investigation. I was like, she needs to move. She violated the lease. You're only supposed to have one person per room, and she has been violating the lease ever since she moved in here. Automatic, in my book, automatic, she needs to go. But no, they didn't. And then I was like, okay, well, can you at least make sure he's not living here anymore? They never came. All of his stuff was still in that room. They never came and checked up on it. And so then I'm like, okay. So I go to her boss, because I'm like, you're not giving me any answers. You're not helping me. I'm uncomfortable. I told you I'm uncomfortable. And now at this point, she had reached out to my roommate. So my roommate knows that I basically snitched on her. So she blocked me on everything. Weird. She didn't want to talk to me, like, just crazy stuff. And then not only that, she was nasty too. They were both nasty. She would leave food out on the counter for multiple days. And I told her, I'm like, I'm a vegetarian. I like, this stuff is like nasty to me. She would leave like raw meat unopened in the fridge, like just like nasty stuff.
I would go nuts.
Exactly. And so then one night after I got off work, I work pretty late. I got home at like 11:45. I had posters out in the living room. She ripped them all off and threw them on the couch. So now I'm livid.
Girl.
I'm like upset. So I go on her door. I start banging. I'm not even gonna lie. I was banging.
As you should.
And
don't touch yourself.
I was recording it too, because I knew she would like to play a victim. So I was banging on her door. And basically all I just told her, I didn't really threaten her. I was just like, if you are bold enough to rip my stuff off the wall, but you can't talk to me, make it make sense. I was like, the next time you want to touch my stuff, come talk to me. Come say it to my face. Do it. Like, at least be about it. Because, like, they just hid in the room. He was there, too. I'm like, how you go just be in there hiding under her sheets? Like, you're a punk. And so then I get an email the next day from the lady from the leasing office. She was like, I understand. No, I emailed the lady, because I'm like, now she's damaging my stuff. Also violation of the lease, because I looked that lease up and down.
I know that's right.
And she's supposed to automatically be removed if she is damaging your property.
Right.
And she did, but she wasn't removed. And so I emailed the lady about it, and she was like, I understand that she touched your stuff, but you should not be banging on her door and threatening her. And I was like, oh, really? So I showed her. I was like, I have the recording of exactly what I said. I did not threaten her. I did not yell at her. I just told her what was down, you know?
So you telling me that she can touch your stuff, but you can't bang on her door?
Exactly. And I'm like, and she could break the rules and then nothing. So then while they were trying to get her to move out, because at this point she wanted to move out because she was scared of me. Okay. And they said neither of you can have visitors until something is resolved. So now I'm being punished because of her. I was like, I didn't break the lease. And then she had the audacity to go because she had a meeting with the lady. And she was like, well, her boyfriend's over just as much as mine. I was like, the statement is false. First of all, he wasn't, because he has a job and a life. But also, if you look at it, my boyfriend never lived with me. He lives with you. So automatically, your boyfriend would be over there more than mine, 100%.
Right.
And I'm like, and you want to bring it up after I bring it up. Make that make sense. And that's why I just don't like GV at all. Honestly, I hate living there just because of the management. And I think, honestly, I don't like to always bring in the race card, but I will because I'm black in reparations.
I know that's right.
And I think it had to do with our race because she's this petite, non-black, little 5'1", no, girl, and I'm like a big black bitch, and now everybody's like, oh, well, she threatened me. I'm like, no, and people do that to me all the time because I stand up for myself that my feelings are invalidated or that it's not that big of a deal because you can handle it, and that's how they treated me, basically.
Yes, I feel like when we in situations like that, we get looked at as the angry black woman when the situation could have been resolved so easily.
Yeah.
But we have to be these angry black women and stand up for ourselves, or people will literally walk over us.
Yes.
If we do not stand ground, people will really walk over us. And I think it's so inconsiderate, the situation that you've been put in, with your roommate. It's very inconsiderate because you don't know him. And you barely even know her.
I did not.
So I feel like for him to even feel comfortable being there by himself without her is, a big strain because, it's boundaries. And I feel like leasing needs to get their stuff together for real.
They really do.
Because
they be one-sided. They pick and choose. Because I'm like, y'all be so strict, but for some reason, and mind you, I've been living there for a year and a half, and she had the audacity to ask me, well, do you want to move out? No.
To my apartment.
Be so for real. You need to move her out. And they were asking her, do you want to? No, she needs to go. End of story. And my mom got involved and everything. My mom don't play either. I try not to get her involved because I was like, I know how she can get. But it got to that point because they weren't giving me answers. And I'm like, it's not fair. If I feel unsafe and I told you and he's been here coming in and now they both don't like me. She even told me, she was like, you need to start locking your doors. The leasing lady, because she's like, I've seen situations like that, they can get spiteful. I'm like, so you can tell that it's not a safe situation and you let them live here for another 2 weeks. I had to live in silence of not knowing whether they were leaving or not.
Right.
And that's why I eventually reached out to the boss because I'm like, even if I'm not allowed to know the details, you should at least be like, hey, just let you know we're still working on this. No contact at all. To the point where I went down to the leasing office with them. I feel so bad. There's this lady who's sitting at the desk. I just start bawling because I was so it was just angry tears, and she was like, oh my, she didn't know what to do. But I was just because the main
was the lady black?
No. She was Hispanic. Okay. But the black lady in there was nice too.
Yeah, Erin. I love her.
Yeah, she's nice. But Miss Girl, who's literally the manager of the building, was never in there. I would come in there every week looking for her during normal operation time. She would never be in there. That's why when I came in the office that day to talk to her, because I was on my breaking point and she wasn't there, that's when I started crying because I was like, she was ignoring me. It was just terrible. And I just feel like if it was the other way around, if my roommate had said that I was doing all this stuff to her, I would immediately be gone. Immediately.
Because you're black.
Exactly. And I'm like, make that make sense.
Right.
But yeah, so we're both in better roommate situations now. My roommate's pretty cool. I mean, we agree on, we're very cleanly, we're very just here, and we both got things to do. We're both seniors. Also, my old one, she was a sophomore. I don't know why I lived with her anyway. How is yours?
My new roommate, she's good. She's nice. We friends, but we don't we don't hang out or nothing. But when we see each other in the kitchen or something, we speak and ask each other about our day. She's really nice. She has her boyfriend over, but he's nice too, and he like he's very respectful, and so like I feel much safer, and yeah, everything good over here.
So for people who are getting into roommate situations or maybe starting college or whatever, like what is an ideal situation, or what is your advice for going into a roommate situation?
Okay, I feel like with the whole random roommate thing, it's a hit or miss, because I know some people, like, they get random roommates and they like become best friends and like lifelong friends. I feel like that's the beauty of, like, you know, college, because I feel like that's a way to get to know people, especially when you go to a college that you know nobody. Like, your roommate is supposed to be the one that you know, with every day. And your one friend. So my advice to people who get themselves into a roommate they don't know is honestly...
There's no hope. There's no hope.
Pray to God. I don't know. I think try to express your feelings, and
that's it.
I don't know.
Like, I mean, look, I think I agree. So, like, the beginning, when you have, especially in college, it's about the experience. So there are some things that I didn't like about, you know, being a freshman and having to live in a dorm. I mean, just living in a dorm is terrible. But it's a part of, you know, you learn about it, and you're just like, oh, that was horrible that we had to shower all in the same shower. But, you know, it's life. But I think an ideal roommate would be either, if you are going to have someone you live with that is your friend, you have to have such a strong friendship that something like them not washing the dishes the way you want or not taking out the trash is not going to ruin your relationship. I've had friends where we only became friends because we were roommates. So therefore, when we broke out in a fight, there was really not much at stake to keep. Like, I'm like weighing it. I'm like, well, I don't really want to be your friend anyway, because I just met you to begin with, and you're already not a good person. So if you have a friendship that will withstand all that, then yes. But I would say I would rather have someone who is not my friend, but we are friendly. So like my current roommate, we're not friends. We don't hang out. We don't talk about our lives like that. But if she's out in the kitchen and I come out, we're able to talk, have a casual conversation, and be about our day. We also agree on, like, we like to keep our dishes clean. We like to, you know, have separate food. We like to, you know, take turns on buying trash bags. Like, those things matter most. And then the friendship will come later. Don't force it, because I've seen that too. Like, forcing it, again, puts too much on that both of your relationships, and it just messes it up.
Yes, I think that's the perfect roommate, actually, especially somebody who's clean. I feel like cleanliness is so important in a roommate, because you don't want the apartment dirty, you don't want bugs. So I feel like having a clean roommate is so important. And like you said, like, don't force a friendship. It'll come. And, you know, some people, like, you know, is not meant to be your friend. Some people just, you know, hi and bye. Yes. But yes, for sure.
Well, that is all that we have for today. Thank you for coming on again.
Of course.
And we'll see you next week. And that's it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.